Okay, I've got here the Palmetto 7.5 inch AR 5.56 caliber. Let's shoot this and then we'll talk a little bit about its accuracy. A lot of muzzle flash, very loud. And I do have the Core Valley linear comp on there. But it's still a very loud gun. I used to recommend this type of gun a lot for women because it's not front heavy, it's really light. But what I found is that if you're shooting this at night, and bad things typically happen at night, you know, the muzzle flash is going to blind you. You're going to lose sight of your target. You're going to lose sight of your reticle. Okay, and also, even with the ear protection, shooting this indoors, it's extremely loud. So. Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I want to have a discussion about, you know, on an AR-15, does the barrel length change the accuracy? Okay, so if I've got a 16-inch AR versus a 7.5-inch AR over here, we know that the velocity drops in the shorter barrel, but the question is, does the accuracy change? Okay, now the reason why I'm doing this video today is because I did a previous video where I was specifically testing the accuracy of a 10.5-inch Palmetto AR, and it was posted on CRS Firearms channel. I sent that video over there along with a few others to help Matt out, who right now is being politically persecuted. You know, by the video being shown over there, a different audience got to see it versus you guys that typically, you know, regularly follow me. So I got a lot of great feedback, a lot of good information, and one of the questions that came up, all right, or basically one of the items that was being discussed is, does the accuracy change? Okay, because in that video I was shooting a 10.5 that was getting about 2 inches. Okay, and over here I've got a 7.5 inch, and I bought this upper and I tested it out after I did that video. So this one over here, most of the groupings were coming in close to 3 inches. I did have one that actually hit 2 inches, but I wasn't able to repeat that. Now, if we look at like my regular, you know, my 16-inch ARs, the trend, right? And we're going to talk about trends here, right? Because you can't just look at one specific AR on one specific day and say that this is, you know, what applies to everything. I have lots of ARs. I mean, you know, so I'm kind of drawing on an average from in what I've seen from all of them. So I've got a number of 16-inch ARs that can shoot 1 inch. Okay. Now sometimes those same ARs, on a different day, the groups might open up to 2 inches, 2.5 inches, even 3 inches, right? A couple of different factors there. First of all, I might not be shooting my best. There might be a lot of wind out. The temperature, humidity, all these things can have a factor. The ammunition that I might be using on that day. All right, so there's lots of variables, okay? Also, you might have some barrels are just better than others, and that might be within the same manufacturer. Okay, I've seen within the same manufacturer, you know, some barrels can be, you know, can on average can shoot better than others. Okay, so having shot lots of guns, I can tell you guys that on average, the 16-inch ARs will shoot a little bit better than the shorter barrels. Okay, so if you go to like a 10-inch, I mean, there's a lot of crossover. Because, like, you know, I mean, there's a lot of crossover, but on average, I have found is if I shoot like a whole bunch of them and I test them out, which I do, okay, the longer barrels will shoot the better groups. All right, they'll get closer down to, you know, 1 inch at 100 yards. When I go to 10 inches, I'll see more closer to the 2 inches at 100 yards. And with this 7.5 here and others I've tested, you know, they get closer to 3 inches at 100 yards. But like I said, I've hit 2 inches with this too, so it's more of an average, okay? Because you can't just look at your best group. You got to kind of look at your average. Okay, so that's what I have found. Now, That's going to be debatable because here's the thing. You know, like I said, on different days you might shoot better than others. Some ammunition might shoot a little bit better in some guns, not so good on others. Um, Overall, there's not that big of a difference at 100 yards. Okay. You know, so they're all, you know, they can all get inside of 3 inches. All right, at 100 yards, which means at 200 yards they'll be shooting at least 6 inches. At 300 yards they'll be shooting at 9 inches, which is still a man-sized target. Um, so in my opinion, there's not that big of a difference. But here's where it definitely not at the 100 yards. Where it does make a difference is further downrange. Like once you start pushing out past 500 yards, and that's fact, right? And I'll tell you guys why. The longer barrel is going to be pushing the bullet at a faster speed. Okay, so what that means is because it's going at a faster speed, it's going to take it longer before it goes transonic, which means that's basically the point at which it starts going from the supersonic, you know, towards the subsonic. Okay, um, during that transitional period between supersonic and subsonic, long bullets, you know, like a 223, right, tend to destabilize. Okay, and this is also the case with airplanes, right? Back in the 1950s, when they were first started experimenting with supersonic jets, unfortunately, a lot of pilots died because they didn't know at the time that, hey, when you cross into that, you know, once you break the sound barrier, you know, things can, you know, elongated things like aircraft, right, can become very destabilized. And that's why aircraft, right, but even supersonic aircraft, when they go supersonic, they cross that barrier quickly. So they don't hover in that supersonic mode. They break through it and they get well above supersonic speeds where they are more stable. Okay, so going back to the bullets, if you have a faster bullet, right? You know, let's say coming out of an AR-15, let's say it's going like whatever, like 3,000 feet per second. It's you know, and as it's going out, right, as it's going downrange, it's going to naturally it's slowing down a little bit as it gets further out. So because it started off at a faster speed, it'll take it a little bit longer before it gets down into that transonic zone. Versus, let's say you have a shorter one like this, right? You know, a short AR like this, 7.5-inch barrel. I think the bullets are going, I don't know, closer to 2,000 feet per second. Because it starts off slower, all right? You know, again, as it's going down range, air friction starting to slow it down. It's going to start, it's going to hit that, it's going to start slowing down, and it's going to go subsonic at a shorter distance. So the difference is a 16-inch may be able to push out to like whatever 600, 700 yards. And you know, I'm not saying, you know, I'm not putting that part out as a fact, but it's going to be able to go out a little bit further. Whereas the bullet coming out of a 7.5-inch barrel, because it starts off slower, it may go transonic at 500 yards. And again, I don't know whether it'll be 400 yards or 600, but the point is that because it starts off slower, it is definitely going to go transonic sooner rather than the bullet coming out of a longer barrel. So we may debate, all right, and we may get different data from different people on different days from different guns as to whether or not a 16-inch and a 7.5-inch is, you know, equally accurate or not equally accurate at 100 yards. All right, that might be debatable, right? A lot of variables that might come into play on that. However, when you get further down range, between, let's say, the 500 yards and the 700 yards, okay, there's no doubt that the bullet coming out of the shorter barrel is going to go transonic, or it's going to fall below the speed of sound sooner than the one that came out of the longer barrel, which was basically going faster, right? So that's where it makes a difference. It makes a difference when you're shooting longer distances. At 100 yards, it doesn't make a difference. This thing shoots 2 to 3 inches, you know, 2 to 3 inches on a man-sized target. You'll easily get out to 200 yards, you know, with that. Okay? I hope you guys found that useful. And again, this video came about because some of the great feedback that I got over at Matt's channel on CRS Firearms. Lots of great feedback over there. So, a couple of other things that came up is in the last video I posted, I mentioned that I have astigmatism. So if I'm using just the red dot, I'll a lot of times I'll see a starburst. Okay, and people will ask me, what if you use the green dot? Well, it just so happens, even though I might refer to the optic on that gun as a red dot just out of habit, that was in fact a green dot I was using on that day. So there's no difference between red dot or green dot. I still see the starburst, which is not a big deal. I've just learned to shoot, with that starburst, right? So basically, I see a starburst, I just center the starburst over whatever I'm shooting at. Okay. Now a solution to that is putting the magnifier behind the optic, because the magnifier has the focal lens on the back. That allows me to get, to see a perfect dot. Okay, so the magnifier is a big help. Now, some people suggested that I get a prism optic, which is something I'm planning to do. There's many times I have considered Primary Arms, the 1X prism scope that they have. It has the ACSS reticle, which I really like. Okay, and a couple times I was about to buy it, and the thing that keeps holding me back is that it has a 1 MOA adjustment. So every time you adjust it, you have to go a full 1 inch at 100 yards. Which means at 200 yards, every time you click it, you're going 2 inches. So I am hoping that in the future, Primary Arms comes up with the next generation, which will allow me to at least have a half click adjustment at 100 yards. Somebody else also told me to look into Boris, that they have a prism scope. I didn't know that, so I'm glad they told me that. I got to look into that. I don't know if theirs has a, if I can get a half click adjustment out of that, or half MOA adjustment at 100 yards. I don't gotta look into that. Okay, so thanks for watching. And again, like I said, I've sent out a whole bunch of videos over to Matt to support, to help support him, because he is basically he's being politically persecuted, and also, that is a prime example. What we're seeing with Matt, it's not just Matt. We've seen it. We saw it with General Flynn. We saw it with Trump. Okay, anybody can be basically labeled a felon. Okay, which is the reason why I don't just take the word. If I'm told that, hey, that guy over there is a felon, or that guy over there is a felon, I don't judge them. I don't rush to judge them, because the question in my mind, and it's not my business to ask them, but one of the things that comes to my mind is, okay, they're a felon. Okay, it seems like they're calling anybody a felon. Okay, if I accidentally drive from PA into New Jersey, right? If I get lost or something and I end up in New Jersey and I have like a 15-round magazine on me and I'm caught, they're gonna persecute me, right? They're gonna prosecute me, and they're gonna label me a felon, right? Just for accidentally going over the border, right? Or you have places, let's say like New York, New Jersey, again, where people are denied their gun rights, okay? Or what about the Polymer 80s, right? Suppose they're banned, okay? How many of us are actually gonna turn them in if they're banned? Okay, basically we're all going to technically be felons at that point. So that is why my opinion is that if you're safe enough to be out on the street, you're safe enough to have a gun. Okay, that's my opinion on that. And again, the case that we're seeing right now with Matt and how he's being politically persecuted is a perfect example. Okay, and there's many more out there. Thanks for watching. If you're not a member of this channel, subscribe, hit the bell button, and also look for me on my other channels, because YouTube keeps coming after me with strikes over here. So I've got Absolute Guns set up. You should subscribe there. I also got Pocono Shooting. I also have a channel set up on Odyssey and Rumble and YouTube. So the goal here is to be everywhere, right? So they can't shut us down. So thanks for watching. I'll talk to you all soon.